Hi bush carvers and spoon crafters out there, this is Max from Woodsman's Finest, and today I'm coming at you with a update video about my Slöjd Strop. As you may or may not be aware of, a few years back I came up with the design of a strop that combined basically a dowel and a straight paddle style strop into one tool. And as you know probably from a lot of my videos, the term one tool option is something really important for me because I like bringing one item instead of bringing several if this item is playing a lot of different roles, so to say. That doesn't mean that I don't have far too many tools, of course, but if I have to, like right now I'm in Japan at the moment on a trip, and when I'm packing up, I really want to be able to bring something that plays a lot of different roles in my carving set, so to say. That is one reason, as you know from other videos I do, why I prefer hook knives, for example, with different curves in them, because they fulfill different tasks for me. So what's the update? These two strops you probably as well know from a video that Set Outdoors did on his channel at Spoonfest 2015. And that was basically Slöjd Strop, the original. And now we're at Slöjd Strop 2.0, so to say. This was made from beech. It was about 1 centimeter thick, and we were about like 4 centimeters wide here, and a very compact small handle. As you see in his video, and I'm just gonna link it below because it's still a very good reference to the strop, and it's a very well made video as he's like a professional. The use is of course one-handed, or you put the strop on the corner of a table in order to fix it there, and you can use it with the clearance on the edge of the table. The second strop I had at the time was just basically, and this is like a rather ugly prototype. It was just basically half of the Slöjd Strop, the full size, and it didn't have a handle. And the idea behind this one was just to make it a little bit more portable, and at the same time still give it the capability to work all your tools. We're still having the rounded edge on one side with the leather going over it. So we're still able to do the inside of all kind of different tools. So this was basically the pocket strop at the time. So what was the reason for the update? This was the full-size strop, like a cam strop, something you keep in your carving bag maybe. And it had this really short handle that was a little bit cumbersome to use. Although compact and usable, I often would have liked a little bit more in my hand and leverage in order to put a little bit more pressure on some tools like axes and stuff like that. Yeah, so I felt like this is already the bigger version. You're not necessarily gonna carry with you all the time, so why actually not putting a longer handle on this one? Because I have other more compact models for exactly that reason. So the updated version full size strop is this one here. It is a little bit thinner, just because it was easier for me at the time to get this size, and I found there's a couple of advantages with that. First of all, we're having a little bit small radius on the edge, which I find gives a little bit more torque. I would nearly say it takes material off a little bit more efficiently because you're really putting the pressure in a smaller area. Second of all, I'm able to get into smaller hook knives with this. My smallest hook knife is a small hook knife by Ben Offord that I'm using for very, very small coffee scoops, so to say, from barrels. And this one here, the other one was able to get in there just ever so slightly, you know. This one here is a little bit easier to work with. Third of all, it's of course lighter, and it gives you plenty of strength. There's nearly no bend to it when I really push it hard. So you're not gonna feel any of your energy being lost by this being a little bit thinner. The handle is way bigger. Sorry folks, a little bit of sound. I'm in Fukuoka, really urban Japan here right now, so there is a little bit of traffic outside. Way longer handle. I really feel like I have more purchase on here. It's easier to work with this. The length and the width are the same. It's 20 centimeters times 4 with a little bit less surface there. So this is what I would call my camp strop, my workshop strop, something that I keep somewhere where I, have space for something about nearly 40 centimeters long, 35 centimeters long. The material is still beech. The finish on the handle is a little bit rougher, just a little bit more grip, and this is absolutely on purpose because you're working with a lot of oils and all kind of stuff all day in your workshop. And the last thing that you really need is sharpening and having something in your hand that's absolutely super smooth. That's what I found myself. But that's the case with all of my tools. Nothing I have is purposely like super smooth. The split leather that's on here is still a very hard, dense split leather, so you don't get any unnecessary convexing where you don't want it. It's very important, especially for carving tools, for our knives, for our axes, where we don't want to have necessarily a lot of convexing on. So if you want to keep your bevel straight, you can keep your bevel straight. I'm just having a lot of tools on here. Like this is my own design bushcraft knife with an octagonal handle, with my thumb scallops. It's just my design that has evolved over the last few years. And then I'm also carving spoons with. So this is really a knife that's supposed to do what you're doing outside. You're doing mostly woodwork and food prep. So nothing too thick. And the octagonal handle fits into the inside of your knuckles. That's what you need. But enough about that. So I'm using this drop on my regular bushcraft knife, so to say. That's a knife with a skinny edge in my case. I'm using it on my regular everyday carry. This one is a Great Eastern Cutlery Ben Hogan. So I'm also using the paddle strop on this knife. And then, of course, mostly what it is intended for is different kind of hook knives. Here is a Reed Schwartz new all-round hook knife that I just did a review about it. You find on my channel, really great hook knife. Please check it out if you are in the market for a new all-round great hook knife. And this is probably my all-time favorite. If I had one knife to bring in a more compact kit going outside or something, I would always bring this one, Mike Hans Carlsen. This is a rather compact, rather small hook knife. I just want to give you an impression of how we're fitting here. A lot of room to work, and with this design I'm also able to go around the whole corner all the way up here, so there is no problem in the radius and the width of the strop. That's very important. Then of course a strop like this with a longer handle, if you're working your axe, either using this as a paddle strop, moving the strop, or putting it on the edge of a table, and you're able to work away here with your knives, with your axes, or of course you're fastening your tools somewhere and you use the strop in a very controlled manner that way. This of course here is my 8th century replica Viking axe that I made with Paul of the Toronto Blacksmith. And this one was featured, of course, in my Carving X series. That's an ongoing series on my YouTube channel. So this one was one of the first one that I reviewed. And it's an ongoing series with over half a dozen of handmade carving axes reviewed from all kind of makers around the world. Okay, so enough about that. Another kind of tool that comes to mind maybe when we're talking about the rounded edge and the leather going around is all kind of different gouges. And this being a little bit of a smaller diameter and curve here, you can go into far smaller gouges and smaller radiuses. This here is my 1.5 inch Howard made in Sheffield vintage gouge that I'm using for cooks I'm making. And when I'm sharpening this, there's sometimes a very small burr in here. That brings me to another use of all of my different strops. Very often I sharpen with different kinds of sandpapers depending on the damage on the edge. I'm starting down with like 320, 400, something like that, and working myself up to 1,000 or 2,000 grit. In that case, I'm not changing to a different tool, but I rather just wrap the sandpaper around my strops, catch it with my fingers, with my hand, and basically squeeze it or stretch it over the rounded edge here. And I'm getting a very nice effect on taking off the burr by just laying the strop completely flat into my gouge and pull it across like that. And it leaves a completely flat edge on the inside. I'm not having any convexing going on. And it just takes the burr fine off, and I can just switch sandpapers until I'm at the point where I want to switch to a stropping compound. Now to another feature of the new strop, talking about the sandpaper and stropping in general. There is a new video out with Nick Westerman and Alexander Yerkes talking about how Nick Westerman is sharpening the inside of his very famous tools. As I said in the video about this one here and this very famous Tuka cam, hollow grinds in whatever form are around for a very long time. Now, being in Japan, a lot of Japanese woodworking tools and general tools have a chisel grind with a slight hollow on one side, just in order to make sharpening and drag, to make sharpening easier and to reduce drag on the material, basically like that. When I reviewed this knife, I was pointing out the hollow and the two shoulders, and so I did on the Reed's design of an all-round hook knife. Now, Nick talked a lot about sharpening and the importance of keeping the inside flat and not convexing the inside downwards, but rather just keeping the convex on the outside. So the leather on here gives you the opportunity to really keep a little bit of convex on the outside if you want that. However, on the inside, you don't want to have the convexing. I'm still using the leather side with my sandpaper because it's very dense leather and it's so hard that you can nearly not feel any give. However, I now have a rounded edge on the other side as well, as you can tell here. And I leave a little bit of space here that hardly does anything like any reduction in the stropping leather surface, but it gives you the opportunity to first of all wrap the sandpaper around this side, which is completely hard beech. And second of all, it actually gives you the opportunity to apply compound onto this surface, the wooden surface, and then strop the inside of your hook knives with the wooden side, which does absolutely no convexing, and you can keep the bevels inside completely straight. And that is what Nick Westerman recommends, and I've heard that a lot before. My friend Noble Woodcraft, Jeff Ballantyne, he's dropping with wooden dowels only, compound on the wood all the time. And now this drop gives you this opportunity as well. So there's a couple of new features. The handle, a little bit less diameter. We're having a rounded wooden side as well for your sandpaper work and your wooden your stropping on the wooden surface. And another new feature is a new model in the series. So we're still having the full size camp strop, workshop strop. Then we're having the bushcraft model, which is 10 centimeters wide without a handle. Other than that, it's the same strop. You still have the wooden surface on this side, and you use it basically in your hand like this. Gives you still a lot of surface to strop your stuff. You can still hold this, fasten it, hold it onto a table edge, and just still work the inside from any desired direction. Very controlled. So this is what I call the bushcrafter, because It fits into your pocket, but it's first and foremost really a great size to fit into a sharpening kit that you might take outside, maybe together with a little Arkansas stone like this one here. Okay, so we're having a very compact strop. So the newcomer to the series is my mini or the real pocket strap. This one is about 5 centimeters or 2 inches in length and is seriously designed to go into your pocket, into a very small kit, traveling, whatever you want, because there's a lot of EDC guys out there. I'm an EDC guy. My pockets are full with certain pens, flashlights, all that kind of stuff, and I really dig it. What if I want to bring something very compact into my EDC kit for stropping? So this is it. This is the mini pocket or EDC strap. I haven't made up my mind about the name yet. It still gives you plenty of surface to strop all of your EDC knives. This one here is a 4-inch blade. No problem there. Stropping that length or anything shorter or even a little bit longer. At the same time, if you choose to bring it onto any kind of smaller bushcraft, whatever carving outside thing, you still have a lot of length here to strop the inside of all your hook knives. And you have all the other features as well. Again, rounded wooden surface on the other side if you want to bring a little bit of sandpaper. Okay, folks. I hope I didn't leave out any information that was necessary. These videos always get a little bit longer than I actually intend them to be, but I really want to share all the information I have. Now, these will be available. There's a batch available right now. As soon as that one is sold out, these gonna be items that gonna be always in stock from now. And if they're not in stock, then there's gonna be a date when they're gonna be available again. So for this one here, we're talking about 29 euro at the moment. This is 15. This one here is 8. And there is also combos available. These two together are going for 42 at the moment, exactly. Those two here are going for 25. And all three of them go for 49. There's shipping 10 euro within the EU and 15 euro across the globe if you're interested in them. Okay, folks, that was just a little tabletop update video for my Slöjd Strop. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. And I'm trying to get back to you with a new video as soon as I can. I appreciate all the subscribers and all the likes on the videos, because the more subscribers, and it's just that plain and simple, the more commitment, the more time I can put into this channel, of course. Thanks, folks. Stay safe. I'm gonna see you next time. Cheers.